Welcome back to another episode of the Field of 68's 2023 NBA Draft Prospect Profiles. My name is Rob Doster. I have with me today Coach Matt McCall, and we are going to be breaking down Houston's All-American guard, Marcus Sasser, a senior that averaged just under 17 points, just under 3 boards, and just over 3 assists per game while shooting 44% from the floor, 38% from 3, and 85% from beyond the arc. Matt, he is projected as a guy that could fall somewhere in that late first round, early second round range, a dude that a lot of people expect to be a good pro. I don't know if he's necessarily going to be a great pro. What do you see out of Marcus Sasser as an NBA player?
Well, first of all, thank you for wearing my alma mater on your chest today as we jump on to talk about Marcus Sasser. I know that's you planned that. You plan to put the Gator logo on your chest. I think the biggest thing that scouts and teams and franchises are looking at when in terms of Sasser is what's the knock? His size. Is he big enough to play at the next level? Because he's a proven winner. You look at his numbers for his career since he got to Houston, they improved every single year. He gets hurt. He only plays 12 games his junior season, and his scoring average dropped in his senior season. But what got better? His assists got better. His turnovers dropped. He got better. And, oh, by the way, he was on one of the most consistent teams in the NCAA. I just don't think you can go wrong in picking him because he's a proven winner, and Kelvin Sampson instills guarding and playing extremely hard, and he has that. So inject him into an NBA franchise, he's going to be ready to play.
My question is, what position is he at the next level? I know he can guard point guards, and I think that he will be a good defensive. You can't play for Kelvin Sampson and not be a good defensive player, so I'm not really worried about that. But I think that it kind of limits where he fits, because I don't know if he's necessarily a pure point guard. I think he's more of a off the ball, space the floor kind of a guy, which means I think you need to pair him next to one of these big, ultra versatile power lead, whatever you want to call, like a Luka Doncic or a LeBron James or someone else that can bring up the ball that doesn't, maybe like a Kyle Anderson. I think you have to find the right fit for him. Does that make sense?
I think that's a great point. I think the fit's the most important thing, especially if he goes to a team or a franchise that's built to win next year. And now you've got a guy that's a proven winner. He's overcome adversity in terms of his injury. Everyone was very concerned about that going into this season. How is he going to respond after what happened last season? Only playing 12 games. He was one of the best players in the country last season. 17.7 points per game, shooting 44% from 3. How is he going to respond off the injury? And arguably, he was on the best team in the country and won the national championship. I know you won the national championship in your team, but they were extremely consistent throughout the entire year, and he became a better passer, a better facilitator, and his turnovers dropped. But I think, like you said, the fit for him is going to be the most important thing. You take him late in the first round on a team that's already built to go to the playoffs and win games in the playoffs, you cannot go wrong because he's going to add value to your franchise.
How much do you value something like coming from a winning program? Right. Like, I think that's, if you look at some of these teams that churn out NBA role players, someone like a Villanova, someone like a Baylor, programs like that. I think that there's something to be said about the winning, excuse the cliche, the winning culture that these teams are coming from, or that these kids are coming from, that I think it matters. I think it matters in the evaluation.
I think it matters. And I think who he's been coached by matters and how he's been coached. And the culture he's coming from, he has to defend to be able to play, for Kelvin Sampson, and the unselfishness and how he matured. I think the handling of adversity is also extremely important. How is he going to handle the expectations going into this season, knowing last season he only played 12 games? Man, he handled those expectations pretty well on a team that was ranked number 1 in the country multiple times throughout this past season. So I think the winning, especially when you're getting into picking guys late in the first round, early in the second round on teams that are already built to win. This is not a rebuilding process. Those guys that have won I think they can add more value to that franchise.
So here's my question with him, because I think that he is what you would call like a modern day tweener, right? Like, I don't know if he's a good enough point guard to be someone like a Tyus Jones, where you're a backup point guard that doesn't make mistakes, that can come in and run the offense. I don't know if he's quite a good enough defender to be like the Avery Bradley, the Patrick Beverly kind of a role. I think he's a good enough shooter to be a floor spacer, but if you're a floor spacer that can only guard one position, I think that kind of limits what your value is. What do you see his best position being in the NBA? Our partner for today's episode is Athletic Greens. I started taking AG1 during the college basketball season, and I loved the impact that it had on my energy levels. I'm a big coffee in the morning guy, but by the time that the afternoon would hit, I needed another boost. AG1 helped me tremendously, especially on those days when I didn't want to get up off the couch and go hit the gym. Their tagline is AG1 is comprehensive health and the power of habit in one. And man, that could not be more true. It's nearly impossible to eat and drink in a healthy manner in the month of February and the month of March when you are in my business. And AG1 was exactly the supplement that I needed to improve my gut health and cover my nutritional basis for the day. I've continued that into April. I've continued that into May, and I'm going to continue that the rest of the summer. All I have to do is mix a scoop of AG1 with some water, or maybe add it into a smoothie, and I'm ready to go. Do it after lunch, and you'll be ready to go for the rest of the day. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/field68. That's field 68 FIELD, the number 6, the number 8, and you can get yours now. So check it out and help support this show. Thanks.
Well, I think he's a combo guard. I think the biggest issue is just going to be, what's the NBA now? Switch. Everybody switch. You switch 1 through 5. That's what everybody does. I don't know if I always necessarily agree with it, but that's how the game is now being played. Everyone's switching 1 through 5. So I think that's the concern, just in terms of the size. But man, he's tough. He's not going to back down. You know, is he a traditional point guard? No. Can he play the position in spots? Yes. I agree with you in terms of who is that primary ball handler in that franchise. Who's the guy that's bringing the ball up the court 9 times out of 10, and can he complement him? I think that's going to be the biggest question for Marcus Sasser.
Last thing I got for you on him. He is 22 years old already. He is more or less a finished project. Like, you're not drafting this dude because he's got unbelievable upside. This isn't Noah Clowney. This isn't Cam Whitmore. Like, you know exactly what you're getting when you get Marcus Sasser. I think that there's value in that for NBA teams, because you know that he can step in and he's going to be able to help right away. So if you got a guy like that, you probably want to be putting him on a good team, right? If you're a playoff team, if you're a team that says, I don't have quite enough spacing. If you're like, I don't know, like the Phoenix Suns, and you're saying we don't have enough guys that can create space for Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, that's why we're going to lose to the Nuggets here. I think you got to take a long look at someone like a Marcus Sasser.
Well, again, he's coming from a winning program. He knows how to win. He's built to win. He knows culture. He knows coming into the locker room, this is going to be my role. I'm accepting of my role, and I'm adding value to this franchise. I just don't think you can go wrong. Maybe he spends some time in the G League and they send him down and he goes down there and develop. I think when you look at the G League and the NBA, especially when you draft young players, I think young players that think they are better than maybe they necessarily are at this point in time in their career, and they get and G League coaches and franchises don't like this term, but they get sent down. Those guys feel some type of way, and they go down there and look at it as a situation as, I'm being demoted and I'm going down here to shoot every single shot once the ball hits my hands. Well, that's not going to be your role when you're with the big team. That's not going to be your role, to shoot every shot. We're sending you down here so you can grow, you can develop, and you can get better. And I think a guy like Marcus Sasser, let's say he gets on an assignment to go to the G League for whichever franchise drafts him, he may look at that because he has a level of maturity for being in college for 4 years. Whereas a guy that's super talented, that's maybe only been in college for 1 year, that's a late first round or a second round draft pick, he may look at it as a demotion and not, hey, I'm using this as an opportunity to get better, to add value to the franchise that draft me. So I think there's something to be said about that.
Yeah, and I think he's a guy that is first and foremost a winning basketball player and a winning culture guy. And you want guys like that in your program, in your franchise, within your organization. Doesn't matter if you're playing sports or whatnot. You want people like that around whatever you're doing. They help you succeed. So I think we're on the same page when it comes to Marcus Sasser. This has been a 2023 NBA Draft Prospect Profile. If you check the description below, you can find links to the other 50 plus of these profiles that we are doing. And make sure you tune in a week before the draft. We will be doing a full mock draft with 6 of our NBA draft experts. Thank you for watching the Field of 68. If you've enjoyed what you've seen here, hit that like button, share this link with your friends, or check out the description for some other places that you can consume Field of 68 content.